My name is Bryn, and today we are here to dive into some of the science of sleep, specifically for breast cancer survivors. We've got Deandra here from Cancer Free Haven, and we're going to dive into some questions. Deandra, can you shed a little bit of light on how sleep affects our immune system, especially for us breast cancer survivors?
Absolutely, Bryn. Yeah, so first off, I want to say that I'm a breast cancer survivor and a thyroid cancer survivor. And so sleep is actually good across the board for all types of cancer. So it doesn't matter what kind you have, but sleep is going to be really important. When you're sleeping, your body is going to be releasing these proteins called cytokines, and they help to regulate the level of inflammation in your body. So we don't want to have too much inflammation, but we also don't want to have no inflammation. If you get a cut or something like that, then you would want inflammation to be able to go to that site of the cut, and it blocks it off to stop the bleeding, and then will kill off any bacteria that are there. So low levels of inflammation occasionally are good, but we don't want to have this chronic inflammation going long term. So sleep helps to regulate your body's immune response, and it's vital for healing and recovery, especially when you're undergoing cancer treatments.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so important. And inflammation is one of those big words out there. So I'm glad you could touch on that. So thank you for that valuable information. So let's dive into melatonin here a little bit. So most of us think melatonin, right? Oh, I'm going to take that to help get a good night's rest. But it does so much more than that. So can you tell us the important role that melatonin plays for us breast cancer survivors?
Absolutely. One of the important things that melatonin does specifically for breast cancer survivors is it helps to support that cell signaling. So when one cell is talking to another one, it's going to help in that. And it also helps to promote the cancer cell death. When you're going to sleep, your body is going to be able to be regenerating more and will help with that cancer cell die off, whether or not you're in treatment. And it also plays a role in promoting healthy estrogen metabolism. So I was actually looking into this a little bit this morning, and I found a research article that was talking about how melatonin can help to bind to some of the estrogen receptors that blocks the natural bonding of your body's estrogen. So it's basically like turning it off. And so that's really important for hormone positive cancers, and mine was a hormone positive. So I found that really interesting that melatonin can actually go in and bind to that and then will help to slow the growth. So that's really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, indeed. And a plug about us next week. We're going to be talking about the importance of body composition, and this will tie into that estrogen metabolism process in our body too. Let's talk a little bit about the different phases of sleep, right? Because it's not just you close your eyes and you wake up the next morning. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Which of the phases of sleep would you say is most important for cancer survivors and why?
Yeah, so all the phases of sleep are important, obviously, but the one that really stands out for cancer survivors in general is rapid eye movement or REM sleep. So this is really important because this is the phase of sleep when your body goes into autophagy. And that's just a fancy word for basically the trash truck that goes around your body, and it's going to be cleaning up all the cellular trash. So when you're going through cancer treatments, your cancer cells are going to be dying off and they're going to be throwing out a lot of waste. And so this REM sleep is when your body's going to be able to go through and clear out the remnants of those dead and dying cells. So it's really important for that.
I love that. I use the trash truck analogy too with my when we're talking about sleep. They'll love to be like, "Oh, Bryn, you would be so proud of the trash that got taken out last night." And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah,
So
that's great.
so good. Yeah, just that little visual of the little truck walking around, scrubbing all the things, right? Thanks so much for breaking that down for us, Deandra.
Sure.
So let's get on to some tips here. What would be your number one tip for breast cancer survivors?
My number one tip is something that is called the brain dump. So I was not the creator of this at all, but it's something that I've really grabbed upon. So when your mind is racing and it's either difficult to fall asleep or to stay asleep, what I do is grab a journal or just the notepad on my phone and just unload all of my thoughts. So whether it's a to-do list, concerns, or feelings, getting this on paper can actually help to calm your mind and create a space for restful sleep. So Bryn, could you give us your number one sleep tip for breast cancer survivors?
Yeah, so my number one tip about sleep specifically is to think about your sleep from the moment you wake up in the morning. So what you do throughout the day is what is going to set you up for success for a good night's rest. Things like your physical activity, make sure that you're not doing it too close to bedtime, having your caffeine curfew, because most of us are really sensitive to caffeine too, and thinking about things like screen time and stuff like that. Just know that how you rest that night starts from the moment you wake up in the morning. So it's things you do throughout the day that are going to set you up for success or not.
Yeah, that's great. I think both of those tips will help our viewers, and you can always add in the comments what your favorite sleep tip is that we can share with everyone else. All right, so thanks for joining us today. You can check back in with us next week, as Bryn said, for Wellness Wednesday. She'll be going through body composition and breast cancer.
Yep. Awesome. It was good to see
All
you.
right, thank you guys for joining in. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.